Okay, welcome everybody to the Entrepreneur Mind Hacks Hangout here. I've been doing a series of these with contributors to my two-book set, Entrepreneur Mind Hacks. And one of those contributors was Martin Shervington. Say hi, Martin.
Hello.
It's good to have you with us. Martin is one of the people that was gracious enough to give me the opportunity to kind of interview him, and then we took his responses and transcribed those because he was in the middle of projects and didn't have time to write. But he hadn't.
Lazy was what it was, is what you were saying. You found a nice shortcut for me. Let's just you've been too kind, Carrie. But here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, Martin was being really lazy and he didn't want to write. So, but he was willing to talk, and I would take that. So, he's got actually 4 different sections in the book. Or in the books rather, one in each section: productivity, creativity, connection, and success. And today, I wanted to key in on this one on creativity because some of his responses were very interesting. And before we get into that, though, I am going to ask Martin a series of rapid-fire questions that have to do with his personality and his likes and dislikes so that we can get to know him a little bit better. So are you game?
I'm all in.
Okay.
I've even got my pencil ready just in case. I don't know why.
Okay. Here's the first one. Pizza or salad?
Oh, that pizza was salad. I'd probably have to go for pizza. Oh, probably pizza.
Pizza. Okay.
I like pizza and salad. It's one of my things. But anyway.
Yeah. Okay. I think I know the answer to this one, but beach or mountains?
Yeah, that's the easy one. Beach.
Beach, yeah. Martin loves surfing and all that kind of stuff, which he mentioned in the book. Let's see, what's another one? Mercedes-Benz or Volkswagen Beetle?
Oh, I'd go for an old school Beetle if I'm allowed to adjust it properly.
Yeah, I'm with you. When I was in, we lived in Hawaii for a bit, and I had a '78 Super Beetle. It was so fun. Yeah, okay.
Well,
Next.
I love camper vans actually. I really love camper vans. But anyway,
yeah, one of those minibus things they have. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I have a thing for them. Yeah.
Okay. Next one is wine or beer.
Beer.
Beer. I'm with you there. Okay, and let's see. I had one more. What was it? Chocolatey or fruity?
Fruity, probably.
Fruity.
Yeah.
We're more alike than I thought. That's most of my answers, except I take the mountains over the beach. So, all right, we are going to just launch right in. One of the things that I asked Martin when I first started talking with him in our conversation was I said, talk to me for a bit about creativity. How do you get into your creative spot? What sort of things do you need to practically get yourself there? And he brought up the topic of it needs to be fun for him. So, Martin, I'm going to let you just run with that. Tell us what you mean by it needs to be fun.
We were just talking beforehand about I've got back into doing stand-up comedy. Everyone, I'm not sure the world's ready. But one of the things is you get on stage and you have fun. That's actually one of the most important things. You go out and enjoy yourself. And if you don't enjoy yourself and you're running from a script and you're almost just memorizing and delivering jokes, everyone knows, you feel it. Whereas if you go out and just be natural and have fun, then it tends to work. And last night, even though it was on the edge content-wise, I have to say it was fun and people enjoyed it. Now, on social, one of the things is finding people who are willing to play. And it can be on a comment thread, and it can be related to a certain subject, and just getting the dynamic moving between you. And you have to feel safe to some extent in the relationships, or you are taking a risk. If you don't feel safe, and you're taking a risk. And in the early days, you're taking a risk because people don't know you. But that sort of sense of play, and I know when people are doing it, and people are crafting responses, and I've done the same thing as well, it's fun, it's engaging, and it connects people. And I think that's, and there's other things to do as well, is that bringing groups of people together and doing social game type ideas. And we've done lots of things with trends with that on Google+. I like it. For that period of time, you set the conditions, set the rules, we're going to enjoy ourselves, we're going to do this thing together. And I think that that's something which, as we were discussing before, business processes are not fun. Right? There's no fun in it, and sometimes I get sort of sucked into doing a lot of those things as the business grows and the community needs more structure, and I have to lift back out of it, and this is where the stand-up comes in, and then go out into the world and have a different view and play with people's perceptions and not be running, as I say, most important, not run from a script all the time. But there's the other side of it, which is you also need to be consistent. People need to know what they're getting. So it's something which, and maybe it's within my personality. I do play, but I also can get really serious, and so I have to kind of find my ways to balance it out.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And you mentioned also in the section, your response to me, you said you ask yourself things like, how do I make this an enjoyable experience? You're thinking about for the end user or those who are participating, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think in a community, you serve the community, and that the community gives you attention in return and engages around things. And I think that, I haven't done a campaign for a little while, but if I take an example, we did something around Jimmy Fallon last year for his 40th birthday, and we got it trending. We wanted to get it on his show, right? And we didn't. But I even went and put a pink wig on. And you can go to my YouTube channel and have a look at this. Me pretending to be Emma Stone wasn't a good look. Right? But the point is, I did it, and it was Amy Harrison, who's an amazing comedy content writer. She's brilliant.
Yeah, she is.
So yeah, she wrote pretty much all of it. I didn't really contribute much on the words, but I did my bit. And that, for the community, they're like, oh, all right, Martin does different sort of stuff. And it's like, yeah, just wait till I bring the stand-up back. But it's something which you serve people. That's what you're doing. And you're rewarded by people appreciating that. Not everyone appreciates it, but that's what you want. And I think that if you are only going through the motions, then it just gets dull. The same as stand-up, the same as going, here's my latest blog post, it's just another thing again. People need to feel refreshed. It's a bit like a TV show, isn't it? From season to season to season, often there's a consistency, it's the same characters, but there's a different step. There's something extra as an element. They've changed location, or different people have got together. And I think that it's a narrative that we already create. And I like... Let's look at another example. Comedy lately, I love talking about artificial intelligence and the robotic dog from Boston Dynamics. And I do this on stand-up, and I've done it on the Plus Your Business show as well. Is joking about, sort of joking, don't kick the dog. Don't kick the dog. It's a robotic dog, but don't kick it. Because I've seen Terminator. We know where it goes, right? So you're taking something which is like a serious thing in a way. Google own a robotics company, and they've got lots of others as well, and making, not say light of it, but making it something that is a little more fun than just going, it's a serious subject. But then I've got people like David Amland. I spent this morning with him. It's great because you can play. David's so smart, but he's really funny as well. So you can play in conversations, and if you find those people you can almost just bounce off, it's perfect. Yeah. And I love Hangouts for that as well.
Yeah, Hangouts are fun that way, the interaction, the spontaneity. And one of the things you said that I thought was very interesting was, I guess it's kind of a personality issue. I asked you, how do you get into that creative place? And you said, for you, it's geeking out. You have to go down rabbit holes, things like that. Talk to me about that.
I think that... Yeah, I do geek out. I geek out a lot. I don't know if that's where I find my play as much as I find the content sometimes. I think you've got to get obsessed by certain things and look at it differently and look at the detail and then almost laugh at yourself with how much detail you go into. I think that's the thing, is just stepping outside and just going, that's not necessarily normal, because none of us are normal. That's a good thing. Right. So, yeah, I think I get pleasantly obsessed with certain things, and I go down a lot of rabbit holes. I go down a lot of rabbit holes about Google products, but also I think that, more than the rabbit holes, I'd say is actually joining the dots. And how do you connect things that aren't previously connected? And how can you do something that isn't done? So I use the example of community campaigns that we've done. And we've done lots of different things, from crafty cooking through to, we did ones on William Shatner Wednesday, and all of these different trends and things that would bring people together. Every time needs to be different. Every time needs to either build on or be an aside from. And I think that's something from a novelty-seeking point of view. You learn when you don't do the same thing over and over and over. In a way, when you actually go, okay, well, we learned that bit now. Let's now see what we can learn by doing it this way. And I think that's where the play comes in. You don't know. It's not guaranteed to work, and there is a bit of risk. But you push yourself. Same stand-up comedy. Last night, some of the content I used, I won't be using again. And some people didn't laugh. Some people did laugh, and you don't know what it will be until you do it, because you don't know who's there and what they relate to. And it's the same with any conversation. It's the same in social as it is on stage, as it is in real life. It's the same.
Yeah,
It's all the same.
that totally makes sense. It reminds me of, for instance, like you're a surfer. It reminds me of athletic things. You have to push yourself to the edge of your boundaries and then just a little over to gain skill in that sporting thing, whatever it is. And it seems the same with creativity. You have to push yourself to places you haven't been before.
Absolutely. I used to teach windsurfing. So before I really got into surfing, it was my early 20s, I taught windsurfing for about 5 seasons, lived in Australia for a couple of years, and I could windsurf well. Not amazing, but well. And there's a principle that you learned partway through when you're learning that was, if you're not falling in, you're not trying hard enough. And it just meant that at certain points, when you are learning new techniques or new tricks, you have to actually fail. You don't get it right. You do take a tumble, and you learn not to do that. You change your weight, and you change your footing, and you adjust your view, and you do all of those things, and you get the feedback. And if you're going at 20 miles an hour, whatever it is, and you're thrown, you're catapulted, it's called, and you hit the water really, really hard, there's only so many of those that you want to keep doing when you are trying to do one thing. So you kind of go, okay, next time I'm not going to. So it adjusts your footing, it adjusts your view, it changes what you do. And I think it's the same sort of principle in terms of, look at being an entrepreneur. You don't want to risk everything. But if you don't try different stuff out, and I think if we're on Google Plus right now, and I think social is a perfect environment, you can crowdsource a group of people around who are willing to play, who are willing to find out. And I think that's something which, setting a condition, a parameter, and say, okay, for the next 24 hours, let's do this thing. What that does is it buys you that period of time where people will pay attention, engage on something which has got some agreed on form where you can learn together. And one of the things that I do, I think lots of people probably aim to do, is you tell people what you learn. And you educate back, and you say, okay, well, this worked, this didn't work, this is what I would do again. And by doing that, you end up with a learning community around you.
Yeah.
And that I really like, because I'm now watching other people's creativity that's come from me saying, hey, this is an interesting idea. For instance, I when I was down in Brazil last year, I did an idea of putting a village on the map. It wasn't easy in Portuguese, but we had a lot of businesses that would turn up to meetings, and we put them on Google Maps. And then other people are starting to pick up that idea and start to look, oh, we'll put our town on the map, or we'll do this event, and so on. And you can see a cascade of, it was a creative idea. I just happened to be there. It was an umbrella idea. Do you know what I mean? So these businesses, they've got places already, they're not on the map, I'm going to bring it together. And it becomes a theme, put a village on the map. Now, as it happens, I'm looking at that now, at how we do that in other places. And I'm also looking at what I'm learning from search during the process, because sometimes I look and go, that's a strange result. How do I learn more about Google on this? And play is more fun for people than let's do some research. For a lot of people, not everybody. Some people just say, I'd rather do the research.
Right.
But if you can turn it into something, well, let's learn together but enjoy the experience, then I think that everyone wins.
Yeah, yeah. And something you started to get into there that I want to dig into a little more, you were talking about how you evaluate, and you say, well, that didn't work, this did work. One of the questions I asked you had to do with how you go about evaluating what comes out of creative efforts that you do. You said there's, for you said it's pretty much straightforward metrics. What do you mean by that when you say metrics?
It really depends on the thing itself, on what it is. So let's just take, does a blog post work? Right, so let's take something that's a creative thing, and even the user guides, we could say, are potentially creative. There's over 250 blog posts on Plus Your Business around different things, and some are probably more creative than others. If it works, you've got the straightforward, and this is quantitative analysis. You've got how many plus ones, how many comments, how many shares, and ultimately, where does it end up in Google search? So very often, from that point of view, I'm looking, and I'm transparent about this, is I'm looking at content not just being the social side of it and people engaging there, but it ending up in search. If it ends up first position, second position, third position, logged out, then I'd look and go, that was what I intended. That's what I tried to do by building the community of people around the content, amplified it, and such. However, that's the quantitative side. So I did organizational psychology as my postgrad. So I then go, okay, well, we know there's another side, which is the qualitative, which is who is engaging, who is having a conversation, what does it mean to them? And then you can get into other things like, does it inspire people? Do you then see, people adjusting what you've done, like the example with the Google Local exercise, and other people starting to run with it? And I think that it's down to whatever you set as your criteria. And I'll give you another example. Let's look at very straightforward in terms of metrics. If you are aiming to have something trend on Google+, and it makes it there, then, and your intention, and it stays there for a period of time, you could go, right, that was a criteria for success, that's great. But what you then start to look at, okay, what does this mean? What happens when things start to trend is other people will engage on that hashtag and get involved in it. So you can have big brands that start to appear. So you create something and suddenly you find other people are starting to pull in and jump on this, and it spreads the meme, the concept out into a wider space. And what then happens from there? And I think it really depends on what you're looking to achieve. For me, particularly in the early days, a lot of it was understanding the algorithms and how much the volumes needed to be at what time of day in order for trends to happen. And once you've learned that, you can get a feel. And there isn't one set of criteria. I think one of the other things which is very qualitative or highly qualitative is relationships. Does this bring you closer to people? Do you like somebody more because you are having fun and engaging and in whatever which way? And one of the problems that you have in a social environment and a digital social environment is the amount of people that potentially see you. And you've only got a finite amount of attention to give. So if you can set a condition which is let's do something together, they feel for that period of time connected to you. So if you're looking at community building, it's a great way because to have contact, we had one campaign, I think they had about 3,000 people involved. And you simply cannot give person by person that amount of attention during a period of time, not reasonable quality. But if you've all agreed this is what we're doing, everybody is in the same mindset for that period of time, and you are facilitating people coming together. And I think that's something which community build and play, I found particularly, as I said, I've been doing a lot of business processes, so I would love to do some things around this and bring people together around it, although other people are doing it within the community. It bonds you. It says we are doing this thing, and I think that's a huge benefit. Also, doing non-commercial activities, as in you're not being paid for it. That's one of the other things.
Yeah, that is really amazing. I'm just thinking here about the issue of how these two go together. You've got the creativity going into the connection realm, which was another topic in the book. You're seeing those two come together because of the creativity here that's going on, and that's a great point that you're making there. Oh, I think we lost Martin.
Play. Yeah, but I'm back.
You're back.
That's the most important thing, everybody. That was secrets to the universe. My Wi-Fi's a little bit wonky here.
Yeah, that's okay. No problem.
So you're saying the difference between
I was just making the observation that what you're saying about creativity is dovetailing into the connection and the community aspect. That's a really cool observation.
Here, one of the greatest benefits of being on social and on Google Plus is community, is the ability for people to go, do you know what, I quite like the sort of stuff that you're putting out. I kind of like your approach to it. You're giving attention when I'm asking for attention. So that's kind of how community is. That's how it is in the real world, and this is a digitized version of the real world. So it serves a purpose to bring people together. That's the main thing. You've just got to decide around what subjects.
Yeah, and how do you go about choosing those subjects? I mean, you mentioned the Jimmy Fallon thing. You mentioned a city that you were trying to get on the map. I mean, give me some ways you go about that.
I don't know. Do you know what? It just happens. It happens when I'm not. It did. I mean, when I was down in Brazil, I was like, oh, this would be an idea, and I like to run with a lot of those ideas. The Jimmy Fallon one, in fact, it's interesting how I decided. Well, I find it interesting that I knew it was going to go wrong because I was rushing. Everybody who's around Plus Your Business knows I say regularly, don't rush. And it's as much a message to me as it is to everyone else. And what I mean is, do it well enough for it to have the best chance that it can work, whatever that is. And what was happening with the Jimmy Fallon one, interesting enough for me, I could see ahead going, it's just not going to work. It just isn't, it's not going to be enough. It didn't have anything to come around. So I actually stopped it for 3 months. And everyone was like, why is it, and there's about 250 people involved. And I was like, no, we're not ready. We are not ready. Leave it. So that's when I hooked up with Amy and said, let's do something. And she's, as I say, brilliant. So she got together at my sister's flat in London, actually, and recorded something that was good. And not, it was good. It was good. I mean, it was good. My Emma Stone impression in particular was, the fact is that we didn't get on. Jimmy Fallon is not a failure to it. It's just that it wasn't possible. It's actually not recorded the same day. So the point is, I looked about 3 months ahead and said, well, what has got a chance of taking this piece of content, building the community of people around it, amplify, getting it trending, getting the story, his 40th birthday. And that's one of the things I found is there's timing. Everything's got timing. And if you rush to get that thing out because you think that it has to be out there and you know you're rushing, then frequently you waste it. And I've learned, and this is where the surfing comes in, I use this as a metaphor all the time, is if the wave is there and you feel the board behind you lift and it lifts and then you're on the wave, it works. You cannot rush. If you stand up too soon, you basically, you fall in. And if you go too late, then you miss the wave. You feel it after a while. And I think that here there's a weird experience that you have. It's not just you. The wave is the community. The wave is what's going on in the world. The wave is all of the other factors. And you get better at judging the stream after a while. And you have to enter the stream. And what I mean by that is you start to see who's connecting. And you see where the energy is. And you see what's happening. And you can enter that. And you ride that. And that's what we're creating. So I've got a launch going to come up for something in a couple of weeks. And it's great to be talking about this now because I remember it's like, I know I have to connect much closer to where things are currently at. I have to go and sample. I have to go and taste what's going on in certain communities, and as opposed to my limited view. Because when I can do that, and I can broaden my perspective and get lots of different reference points, I'm able to go, right, I feel I understand the water a bit better. I understand where the waves are and how things are moving. And I'll give another example of how it can go wrong. If you post things in the UK, say I'm in the UK, and you post something that's on an American holiday, like President's Day or something like that.
Sure.
And we don't have that. We don't have that holiday in the UK. And you don't have some of our holidays, but it's usually this way around. If you get it wrong, you're there going, because nobody's online, nobody's there, everybody's out in doing this other thing, and I think that's almost, you just get used to making better decisions based upon the parameters. I mean, that's a very obvious one. Once you've experienced it once, you don't make that mistake again, because what you're trying to do is kindle attention that isn't there. People are off whatever you're doing on President's Day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Barbecuing, probably, known Americans.
Yeah, President's Day is one of those that's sort of a holiday, but not really. It's kind of funny.
All right, let's go for one of those. I don't know.
Yeah, I get it.
Bank holidays. I don't know.
Yeah, they are bank holidays. I mean, people that work in banks get them off, but the rest of us don't. Hey, so let me just dig into one thing that you said there. You were talking about the garnering the attention, and you were saying, certain things work, certain things don't, and you learn that over time. What have you noticed in yourself about the type of instincts you've developed over time as you've worked on this piece? How does that? I mean, what does that look like now compared to what it used to look like? I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
In relation to creativity, or
just the instinct that you were talking about, because I think creativity has a type of instinct to it. You notice things that would be good ideas, and you start to pick out things that would be a good thing to work on. And you were talking about you developed that over time. I'm just curious in you personally, how has that changed? Like, I mean, think back to Martin 5 years ago and Martin today. What has grown in terms of that instinct?
I think that I've got a lot more experience, and so your knowledge set
Hmm.
becomes greater as to what's worked and what hasn't worked, and you have almost a felt experience of the information in you. That's kind of how I feel about it. So when you make a decision, you're making it from, well, I've seen this 5 or 10 times before, and therefore, I wouldn't necessarily do it that way. So sometimes people come to me and say, how do I do this thing? And they'll say, this is how I'm looking at it, and I go, it won't work.
Hmm.
It won't work. Have a look at doing it this way. And I have to then, and it's a real judgment call. And it's not about the content, it's often about the structure. And it's like, for instance, do people use a public community or private community, and do we bring people into that? But the data I have, or rather my judgment of notifications on Google+, should people use communities or circles? So it's like, I've used both so many times for so many different things. I understand the potential of people's attention going to a particular thing. And if you find that you're not getting the attention, then you've got to look at, was it the thing or how I put the thing out? So I'll give a really simple example, because you get better. I learn every day. I think that's the thing. You constant learning and constant feedback, and you don't always get it right. Okay. When I started, I had a principle which came from Seth Godin, Permission Marketing. And I read that book in 2002, and it changed my view of things. It's not ask permission, provide value, and that person is really served by what you send them. And they're delighted, and give you the right to get in touch. So I applied the same thing on Google+, created circles, opt-in circles. Who would like to be in this circle? And that principle, from the first month or two through to, this is actually my 3rd anniversary today. I'm going to the 4th year tomorrow. So it was 6th of March 2012. But I applied that permission marketing techniques to build in circles that were opt-in, that I would say to people, hey, do you want to get involved in this? Do you want to receive this information? And that has allowed, really, for me to tailor the messages in a way that gets greater engagement, because it gets the information to the right people in a way that they've said, yes, they'd like it. So you get better at doing those things, because I've done that, I don't know whether it's 50 times or 100 times or 200 times, but you get better. And the only way is to start figuring in somebody's interest to receive a notification from you, to receive an email from you. And if you keep looking at how you do that, as opposed to how do I sell my product or service, then people's response is, okay, I'll pay attention to that thing. Maybe I'll take the conversation further. Maybe I'll go to your website. Maybe I'll sign up for an e-course, or whatever it is.
Yeah, that makes total sense. It makes total sense. Sounds like the experience and the knowledge kind of develop an intuition in you that enables you to kind of predict or tell what's a good idea, what's not a good idea. I like that.
I think we all do. And I think that the lovely thing for me on here, and the opportunity for everybody, is that you've kind of got a closed system to some extent. Even though everything's indexed and search, we've got tools. We've got the Hangouts and then we've got the events, and then we've got circles, and we've got posts, and then we've got videos, and we've got YouTube, and then we've got emails, and once you can kind of like build out a view, then you can make the best decisions.
Yeah.
And so much is about, it's all about relationships and connecting with the right people for you. So the tools are just a way that help you to build relationships and connect.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Well, Martin, we're running out of time here. Let me just ask you to tell us about what you're working on now that you really would like people to check out. What's the big deal that's on your radar right now?
The big deal, probably, I don't know if I can tell you that, but we are going to launch something within the next 2 weeks, which is going to be a pro membership for Plus Your Business. And one of the things, we've got the Academy, which is on Google+. We have levels, and people can check that out. We've got a very, very, very special deal. But the thing, Carrie, that I've said all along is I want a community-based business. I don't believe that I can do this on my own, and I also believe that every single community member who wants to be active should be well rewarded for their actions. So what we're looking at is increasing the blog, and that people can be rewarded financially for becoming part of essentially the Plus Your Business ecosystem. So to do that, we're going to have a pro membership community which will launch within a couple of weeks, but have everybody who's in the academy already essentially running a lot of the contact points. I'll still be there, I'll still be doing my sessions every week, but the vision is just about to happen now. So if people want to go check it out,
Yes.
and it's very exciting, but it has been a lot of play for the last few weeks. So.
Yeah, it sounds great. So at plusyourbusiness.com, and if you're interested in finding these mind hack books, they are a pay what you can resource. So it's like a no-brainer. If you need 500 pages worth of mind hacks for creativity, productivity, connections, and success, go and grab that thing. I mean, 99 cents. Come on. You see the link there in my lower third. That's the place to go. Martin, thank you for your time.
You're very welcome, Gary. Lovely to chat.
Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.